Welcome back to this clown's garage. In this video I'll be deleting the whole EGR system off this car. It's an 87 Camaro. So anything from an 82 to 92 Camaro / Firebird is the same exact procedure. This is a TPI engine. Now this is going to be a track car, so we don't want the EGR in here. This is illegal to do on a road car if you have a street car. So the EGR in this car is controlled by the computer. It sends a ground signal to the EGR solenoid, which is right here. So we can take that off too. And once the EGR is activated, the computer advances the timing. And also certain parameters need to be met for that to be activated, such as a mile per hour target, and engine temperature, and RPM. So let's begin by taking this BMR strut tower brace off. Alright, so underneath the wheel well here, these are two bolts. These are 14mm bolts. So I'm just going to put a ratchet on here to hold this, and on top I'm going to zip it out with the gun. Now for the other side I'm going to use the air ratchet down here and an open end on top. Now these are Allen headed bolts here, 1/4 inch. So use that there, and these are 1/2 inch nuts on the bottom of them. Take that off, and there's a nut and washer underneath. Now you can just grab this bitch and yank it off. Now take the mass flow sensor harness off. Just pull that tab up and pull that out like that. Put that off to the side. Now loosen this clamp here. Now this one here. And now you can just pull this whole assembly right out. Just like that. Now disconnect the TPS. Just pull that up and pop that out. Put that off to the side. And also the idle control, the IROC. Now this doesn't have a clip, it's broken. So in this case, I'm just pulling it straight out. Alright, now the throttle body coolant hose. That's a 5/16. Also this hose has to come off too. So that's also 5/16. It's off right there. Now I'm just going to take this cap off just to give us some room back here. These are all Phillips head. This whole thing just comes right out. Alright, now take this bracket off. There's 3 10mm bolts here holding it in place. This is where the throttle cable and the transmission cable are. You need an open end on this one. It's one. Now this, they just taped this, so this was already snapped. Just pop that out. Alright, now I'm going to take these, I'm going to pop these out. This just goes forward and out. Now this clip here, just pop this out like that. Comes out like that. And now in the back, pop that up and out. Just like that. Now this is all disconnected. I'm going to take the tranny cable off here, these clips. Pop them down and pop this out, because this tranny cable goes underneath the runners over here. So let's go ahead and squeeze those tabs in and pop that out just like that. Now loosen the upper plenum on this side. There's 4 Torx headed bolts. These are T40s. Now here, I'm going to take this one out completely, and this one out completely. And the top 2 are going to be loose for now. just leave those in for now. Now I'm going to take that clip off, just like that. Now that's a 10mm in there, so I'm just going to completely take this off. And now I have 3 Torx-headed bolts there, which I'm also going to completely take off. Alright, now I'm going to take the upper plenum off. There's a vacuum line here. Just going to pop that out. And there's a vacuum line underneath. I'm just going to pop that out when I take the plenum off. So I'll take these two Torx bolts off. This whole thing comes right out like that. And you have one vacuum line here. Just pop that out. You have 2 vacuum lines here. Just pop those out. And you have a sensor underneath, which you gotta pop out also. Just like that. And you also have a vacuum line right there that comes out. Alright, now over here, I'm going to take this EGR solenoid, pop a little clip off the harness, and one side goes to EGR, one of the vacuum lines, pop that out, and this other side goes over here, which tees into the plenum. So I'm just going to take one side off from there. Now the EGR temperature sensor, which is this here, that's this harness here, so I'm just going to pop that out and pull that out. Okay, what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to cut this temperature switch wire, so I can put a socket over this and unthread that sensor out. I'm going to stick a 13mm socket on it. And there goes the temperature sensor. Now it's a 3/8 bolt. Just going to undo that. Alright. Alright, now the other side of the EGR, all you gotta do is stick a wrench in there and undo that. Alright, came off just like that. And now you can pull off the EGR valve. Just like that. Now in the plenum itself, I'm going to use some throttle body cleaner. You can also use some brake cleaner. So I'm just going to spray this down a little bit and go here with the razor blade and take any remnants off the old gasket off this. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that now. Now that both sides of the plenum are clean, I'm going to clean the gasket side of the runners. Same procedure, some throttle body cleaner and a razor blade. So take this off. I put some rags over here in the runners so nothing would fall in. So. Now over here where the EGR goes, I stuffed 2 little paper towels in there. And I'm just going to do the same thing here. I'm going to clean all the way around here with the razor blade. So. Now I have a shop vac hooked up, so I'm just going to vacuum all the stuff in the intake so it doesn't fall inside the engine anywhere. And you can also vacuum the runners if something fell in there to suck anything out. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. Now I have this black off plate from TPIS. Their part number is BOP021. And it comes with the plate, the gasket, and 2 bolts. So I'm going to go ahead and put this on now. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put some gasket sealer. I'm using gasket cinch on the mating surface here. I'm going to let that dry for a couple of minutes. Now I'm going to put some gasket sealer on both sides of the gasket. You can also put some RTV here. You don't have to use gasket sealer. I just like this stuff, so this is what I'm using. And I'm going to let this dry a couple of minutes and put it on. Now I'm going to put it on. The skinnier side of the gasket goes towards the driver's side. So just center it right on so the bolt holes are showing through. And the same thing with the block off plate. Now put the bolts in. These are T40 headed bolts. Allen. Go ahead and tighten these down. You don't have to go too gorilla on here. And that's good. Alright, now I'm going to get a vacuum cap. And I'm going to put it on this side of the vacuum. T over here. Just like that. Now make sure you put a good vacuum cap here. You don't put those little cheap plastic ones. You put a real rubber one here. Because if you put the plastic one, it's going to leak. And I'm just going to leave this line here now. Now on top of capping off the vacuum line, it's a good idea now that you have the upper plenum off to make sure all the vacuum lines are in great shape. This one here isn't. This that go see over here, it's frayed, it's dry rotted, and it's all messed up actually here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to replace this hose over here. This goes to the charcoal canister, by the way. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. So you could just take this off at this end over here. And what I'm going to use is I'm going to use a Dorman part number 46033. This is an emissions hose, and it's got that 90-degree bend that you want. So I'm going to go ahead and put this on there now. Now I'm just going to cut this the same length as the old one, probably a little bit bigger. So I just cut it right here. Leave that right there. Okay, now I'll briefly show you what you need to do on a laptop. You could have any tuner do this for you. So we just go in the tunerpro software here. Now the EGR parameters here, there's 4 over there, as you can see there, and we have them open over here, the windows. This is what you need to do. The first one is the EGR TPS enable threshold. That should be 0. And the EGR percentage TPS disable threshold should also be 0. Now this one here, the EGR enable minimum mass air temp, that should be maxed out at 151 degrees Celsius, so the computer will never reach that, so it'll never enable the EGR. The next thing is the EGR diagnostic minimum vehicle speed it turns on, and you put that at 255 miles an hour because it'll never reach that. So that's how you disable it on a computer. You just burn a chip and with these parameters in it, or you could have a tuner do it, your local race shop. And that's the computer. It's underneath the car over here. So when you do this, when you burn a chip, you'll never throw a code for the EGR. So you're set. That's how you do it computer-wise to this car. Alright, now we're going to use Felpro gaskets, part number MS93035-1. and it has the upper Plenum gaskets that we need. It also has other gaskets in here, which we're not going to use at this time, but we're going to keep on the side just in case we do use it in the future. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put some gasket cinch, gasket sealer on this side where the pins, the dowel pins are, and I'm also going to put some on the runners on the car. Wipe off any excess that may have fallen down. And I'm also going to do the same thing on the other side. Alright, now I'm going to put the gaskets on. The dowel pins towards the runners. Push the dowel pins in. So that's it. Now put the upper plenum on. Okay, now on the bolts where the plenum go into the runners, I'm going to put some blue thread locker on them. Just going to go ahead and do that to all of them. Alright, now I'm going to put the plenum on. I have vacuum hoses in the back and a sensor in the back I got to clip in, and a vacuum hose in the front, two actually. So I'll go ahead and put this on now. Vacuum hose here. Put the sensor in. Just plug that in. That's good. So you put the big vacuum hose from a brake booster on. You can put the sensor on. And now there's two other vacuums over here. You can put that on later. Once for foot pressure regulator and another big vacuum hose. Now over here, you have a small vacuum hose. You put that in as you're lowering this in place. Goes in right there. It's in. And slowly press this in place. I like to use a little center punch to align the holes. So go ahead and do that. Catch these. Caught. Make sure as you go, you're aligning them. That caught. Now the other side. Now the other side. Same thing with the center punch. Move it around. Putting them in. That looks like it's aligned. Move the plenum around, up and down with one hand while you're threading this one in, and that caught. Now if this is hard to go in, then you're cross threading it. You can also take a look at the bolt, make sure it's going in straight. If it's cross threaded, you're going to see it a little cockeyed. There's one more down here. That one is easy, that one's lined up. So as long as you get the top ones, this will go right in the bottom one. Now last one on the driver's side. Now the specs for these bolts are 25 foot-pounds. So I'm gonna tighten these at 25 foot-pounds first, then I'm gonna do the outer ones. And the same thing on the other side. That's good. That's good. That's good. And that's good. Now do the other side. And we're good. Now you can put this vacuum line in here, just like that, and this vacuum line over here. Now to put this 9-degree hose that we got, this emissions hose, in. I'm just using a punch as a helper tool here, and it went right in. Now I also want to mention, upon further looking at this, I don't like the way this was sitting on here. I don't want to have a vacuum leak, so I also put a hose clamp on it here. And I also changed this to a thicker vacuum cap, a rubber vacuum cap. And I also put a hose clamp on either side of this, which I'll show you right now. So this is the other side of the emissions hose, and I put it over the two ridges that they had over here, and I also put a little hose clamp here. So it's guaranteed to have no leaks here. Now I'll put the heater hose back on. There you go. And tighten this down until you see the hose being compressed. That's good. Now to put the TPS and the IROC connectors back on. That's good. Now to put the other coolant hose on, the throttle body. It's good. Now I put the mass airflow sensor and the intake tube on. I'm using this to drive it down. That's good. Okay, and last thing to do here is put the mass airflow sensor harness back on. That's good. The clown made a boo-boo. This goes in the top in the middle. Yes, I made a mistake. I make mistakes too. So I'm just going to put that in there. Not a big deal. And torque this down to 25 foot-pounds. Now pop this plastic back in place. Just like that. Now to put the bracket back in. The tranny cable in first. Pop that bitch in. Just like that. Tug on it, make sure it went in there good. Now to put the 3 10mm bolts back in. That's good. And that's good. Now pop this one in. Just pull it, slide it over, and push it towards the back of the car. And clipped in, you're good. Now to put these 2 clips in. One in the back. That's good. Put this in. And that's good. Now over here, that clip, it's broken, so I'm just going to zip tie them in place. And now just put the plate back on top. Now put the strut bar back on. So that's how you delete an EGR from your car. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to my channel, like me, and share me. See ya!